Zenthra gazed out the window of the spacecraft, marveling at the blue and green planet approaching. Earth, a place of immense curiosity and mystery. She adjusted her translator device, ready to decode the complexities of human language and culture. As the ship landed smoothly, she stepped out to be greeted by a man with an enthusiastic smile. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Zenthra. I'm Dr. Ethan Carter, your guide for this visit," he said, extending his hand. Zenthra hesitated, then mimicked the gesture, shaking his hand awkwardly. "Greetings, Dr. Ethan Carter. I am eager to learn about human customs and aesthetics." Ethan chuckled. "Just call me Ethan. We have quite an itinerary planned for you. First stop, an art gallery showcasing some of our finest works." They traveled through the bustling city, Zenthra's eyes wide with wonder at the tall buildings and diverse crowds. "Your planet is very lively," she remarked. Ethan nodded. "It's chaotic but beautiful in its own way. Here we are, the Zenith Art Gallery." Inside, the gallery buzzed with activity. Ethan guided Zenthra to an exhibit titled, "Humans Will Consume Me." Zenthra tilted her head, puzzled. "Consume? Do humans engage in cannibalism?" Ethan burst out laughing. No. It's a metaphor. The exhibit explores vulnerability and emotional consumption, not literal eating." Zenthra's eyes widened. "Fascinating. I must understand this metaphorical consumption." As they approached the centerpiece, a live performance by a nude male model named Alex, Zenthra's confusion grew. "Is this human art? He appears vulnerable." Alex, standing confidently, caught her stare. "Art is about raw expression," he explained. Zenthra, unfazed by nudity in her culture, scrutinized him. "Your form is intriguing. Do humans often display themselves in this manner?" Alex smirked, glancing at Ethan. "Only in art. It's a way to convey honesty and openness." Zenthra nodded thoughtfully. "Your species values honesty through physical exposure." Intriguing. During a dinner with other artists, Zenthra's literal interpretations caused a stir. "So humans consume art with their eyes, but not literally?" she asked, baffled. One artist laughed, choking on his wine. "Exactly. We feast our eyes on beauty." Zenthra pondered this. "Feasting with eyes, consuming emotions, your species uses vivid imagery." Ethan tried to clarify. "It's our way of expressing intense feelings. It can be confusing, but it adds depth to our communication." The conversation flowed with humor, as Zenthra's candid questions about human anatomy and customs led to laughter. "Why do humans cover certain body parts? Is there shame associated with them?" Alex, still amused, replied. "It's about modesty and social norms. Nudity is private, except in art." Zenthra's earnest curiosity and misunderstandings broke the ice, leading to a vibrant exchange of ideas. Her straightforwardness made her endearing, and her alien perspective shed new light on human eccentricities. As the night ended, Zenthra reflected on her experiences. "Humans are complex. Your customs, your metaphors, there's much to learn." Ethan smiled. "And much for us to learn from you. This is just the beginning." Zenthra felt a sense of excitement and curiosity. Her journey on Earth was turning out to be a fascinating exploration of cultural nuances and shared laughter, a true blend of learning and comedy. Alex stood before Zenthra, trying to maintain his composure. "So, you really thought the title meant humans eat each other?" he asked, a hint of laughter in his voice. "Yes," Zenthra replied earnestly. "Consumption implies eating in Axionian culture. Your metaphorical language is quite elaborate." Alex nodded, suppressing a grin. "It's all about vulnerability. The idea is that we consume each other emotionally, not physically." Zenthra's eyes lit up with curiosity. "So, by displaying yourself nude, you are expressing openness and inviting emotional consumption?" Alex scratched his head, laughing. "Something like that. It's about being completely honest and exposed, both physically and emotionally." At dinner, Zenthra's literal interpretations continued to amuse and confuse the guests. She picked up a fork, examining it closely. And this tool, it is for consuming food, not art. The guest chuckled, Ethan nodding. Yes, Zenthara. We use utensils for eating food. Feasting your eyes means to look at something beautiful. Zenthara nodded slowly. Human language is very colorful. Do all humans understand these metaphors easily? An artist chimed in. Not always. It's part of our charm. We like to play with words. Zenthara's candidness about human anatomy caused more laughter. Why do you cover certain body parts? Is there something wrong with them? Alex, trying not to laugh, responded. It's about privacy and modesty. Nudity is seen as intimate, not for public display. Intimacy, Zenthara repeated thoughtfully. On Axion, nudity is common. There is no concept of modesty as you describe. The conversation flowed, each exchange a mix of humor and enlightenment. Zenthara's fresh perspective highlighted the quirks of human customs. Ethan took the opportunity to explain further. Our customs around nudity and modesty stem from various historical and cultural influences. It's deeply ingrained in our social norms. Zenthara nodded, absorbing the information. I see. And art is an exception to these norms? Exactly, Alex said. Art pushes boundaries and challenges perceptions. Zenthara turned to Alex. And by standing nude, you are challenging perceptions? He smiled. Yes, it's a way to provoke thought and conversation. Zenthara's eyes sparkled with understanding. Your species uses art to explore and express complex ideas. Fascinating. The dinner continued with more light-hearted banter. Zenthara's questions about human behavior and customs kept everyone entertained. Her sincerity and the way she viewed human idiosyncrasies made her an instant favorite. As the night progressed, Ethan and Alex found themselves explaining more metaphors and cultural nuances. Zenthara's genuine curiosity and straightforward nature were refreshing. Her laughter, when she finally understood a joke or a metaphor, was infectious. By the end of the evening, Zenthara had a better grasp of human language and culture, though many nuances still eluded her. Humans are indeed complex and intriguing, she remarked. Your ways of expressing emotions and thoughts are unique. Ethan smiled. And your perspective helps us see our own culture in a new light. It's a valuable exchange. Zenthara felt a growing bond with her new human friends. Her initial confusion was giving way to a deeper appreciation of their ways. The evening had been a delightful blend of humor, learning, and connection. As they prepared to leave, Zenthara turned to Alex. Thank you for your patience and explanations. Your art is truly a window into the human soul. Alex blushed slightly. Thank you, Zenthara. Your questions have made me see my work in a new way too. Ethan added. This is just the start. There's so much more to explore and understand. Zenthara nodded, feeling a sense of excitement. Her journey was turning out to be an enriching adventure, filled with laughter and insights. The complexities of human culture were beginning to unravel, one humorous misunderstanding at a time. Ethan welcomed Zenthara into the brightly lit room. This is a life drawing class, he explained, gesturing around. It's where artists practice drawing the human form. Zenthara looked around, intrigued. Will the models be clothed or nude? Ethan hesitated. Nude, actually. It's important for studying anatomy and movement. As the class began, Zenthara watched intently. The model, a middle-aged man named Carl, disrobed and struck a pose. Zenthara's eyes widened. Humans have varied physiques, she observed aloud, causing a few giggles among the students. Ethan whispered, Try to keep your comments to yourself. It's a learning environment. Zenthara nodded, picking up a pencil and sketchpad. She attempted to draw, her strokes awkward and hesitant. She glanced at her neighbor's drawing, a beautiful, fluid sketch. Your depiction captures his essence, she complimented. The artist smiled. Thank you. It takes practice. Zenthara's attempts, however, resulted in comically exaggerated features. She frowned at her work. Why do my lines not flow like yours? The instructor, a stern woman named Ms. Harper, approached. Art takes time and observation. Let yourself be free, don't overthink. Zenthra took a deep breath and tried again, her new drawing still far from perfect but improving. She looked at Carl, focusing on his form and trying to understand the human anatomy better. During a break, Carl approached Zenthra, draped in a robe. First time drawing a nude model? Yes, Zenthra admitted. It's challenging. Your body is very different from Axionians. Carl chuckled. I bet. Our species must seem strange to you. Zenthra smiled. Fascinating, but strange. Your willingness to expose yourself for art is admirable. Back in the class, Ethan watched Zenthra with amusement. She was determined, her alien perspective making for interesting and unusual sketches. The other students, initially wary, were now curious about her and her home planet. As the session ended, Zenthra showed Ethan her final drawing. It was still rough, but there was a noticeable improvement. I think I'm starting to understand the human form better, she said proudly. Ethan smiled. You're doing great. It's all about practice and perception. Later that day, they attended a public art event. Zenthra, feeling more confident, engaged with artists and attendees, asking about their work and techniques. Her literal interpretations continued to amuse everyone. At one booth, an artist displayed a series of abstract paintings. Zenthra stared at a particularly chaotic piece. What does this represent? The artist, a young woman with bright pink hair, grinned. It's about the chaos of modern life. The colors and shapes reflect our emotional turmoil. Zenthra nodded slowly. So, this is a visual representation of human emotions? Exactly, the artist said. It's open to interpretation. Zenthra's candidness and curiosity drew a crowd. People were fascinated by her perspective, finding her questions both insightful and humorous. As the evening progressed, Zenthra found herself in a conversation with a group of young artists. They discussed the nuances of human culture, language, and art, each exchange peppered with laughter and double meanings. One artist asked, What do Axionians consider beautiful? Zenthra thought for a moment. We value symmetry and luminescence. Our art reflects our connection to nature and the cosmos. The artist nodded. Sounds incredible. Do you think humans are beautiful? Zenthra smiled. In your own unique way, yes. Your diversity and creativity are beautiful. The night ended with a small concert, where musicians played soulful tunes. Zenthra listened, enraptured by the melodies. Music is a universal language, she mused to Ethan. Even without understanding the words, I can feel the emotions. Ethan nodded. That's the power of art. It transcends language and culture. Zenthra felt a deep sense of connection. Despite their differences, humans and Axionians shared a love for expression and beauty. Her journey on Earth was revealing the common threads that linked their species. As they walked back to their accommodation, Zenthra reflected on the day. Today has been enlightening. Humans are indeed complex and intriguing. Ethan smiled. And we've learned a lot from you too. Your perspective is refreshing. Zenthra felt a sense of accomplishment. Her initial confusion was giving way to a deeper understanding and appreciation of human culture. She was excited for what the rest of her journey would bring. As Zenthra continued her exploration of Earth, she became increasingly intrigued by the nuances of human behavior. Ethan decided to take her to a comedy club, thinking it would be a fun way for her to understand humor. The club was packed with people, laughter filling the air. Zenthra looked around curiously. So, this is where humans gather to laugh? Ethan nodded. Yes, comedians perform here, making jokes about everyday life. It's a great way to see how humor reflects culture. They found seats near the stage, and the first comedian, a woman named Lisa, took the mic. She started with jokes about dating and relationships. Zenthra listened intently, her translator working hard to keep up with the colloquialisms and puns. Lisa joked. My last date was like a UFO sighting, rare, confusing, and no one believes it happened. The audience roared with laughter. Zenthra tilted her head, processing the joke. Humans compare their romantic experiences to unidentified flying objects? That's humorous. Ethan chuckled. It's all about exaggeration and relatability. As the night went on, Zenthra began to understand the patterns in the humor. The comedians used double meanings and wordplay, often exaggerating mundane situations. Zenthra found herself laughing, even if she didn't fully grasp every nuance. During a break, Ethan introduced Zenthra to Lisa. This is Zenthra, an ambassador from Axion. Lisa grinned. Nice to meet you, Zenthra. How are you finding Earth? Zenthra smiled. Your humor is fascinating. It's a window into your culture. I'm learning a lot. Lisa laughed. Well, if you want to understand humans, laughter is a great place to start. Back at their table, Zenthra tried to make sense of a particularly intricate joke. Why do humans find humor in misunderstandings? Ethan explained. It's about seeing the absurdity in everyday situations. Humor often comes from things not going as planned. Zenthra nodded slowly. So, by laughing at these situations, humans cope with them? Exactly, Ethan said. It's a way to deal with life's challenges. As the evening continued, Zenthra's laughter became more frequent. She even started to predict the punchlines, much to Ethan's amusement. You're getting the hang of it, he said. Zenthra felt a sense of accomplishment. Understanding your humor makes me feel more connected to your people. Ethan smiled. That's the beauty of it. Humor bridges gaps and brings people together. The final act of the night was a comedian known for his physical comedy. He used exaggerated gestures and facial expressions to tell his jokes. Zenthra was particularly fascinated by this performance, as it required no translation. She laughed along with the audience, appreciating the universal language of body humor. After the show, Zenthra and Ethan walked through the city, the night alive with lights and sounds. Zenthra reflected on her experiences. Humor is a powerful tool. It reveals so much about your species. Ethan agreed. It shows our resilience and ability to find joy in the chaos. As they passed by a street performer mimicking the exaggerated movements of the comedian, Zenthra laughed again. Even your spontaneous humor is captivating. Ethan grinned. It's everywhere, if you know where to look. Their next stop was a cafe, where they sat with a group of Ethan's friends. The conversation flowed easily, filled with jokes and stories. Zenthra marveled at how humor seemed to be woven into every aspect of human interaction. One of Ethan's friends, a man named Tom, shared a story about a recent vacation mishap. I ended up at the wrong hotel and spent the night in a storage room. It was like a scene from a bad sitcom. Everyone laughed, including Zenthra. You find humor in your mistakes. It's very optimistic. Tom smiled. It's all about perspective. Laughing makes it easier to move on. Zenthra nodded. Your approach to life is admirable. I'm learning to appreciate the lightheartedness. As the night drew to a close, Zenthra felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Her journey on Earth was far from over, but she was beginning to see the world through the eyes of its inhabitants. The humor, the art, the complexities of human interaction, all of it was enriching her understanding and appreciation of this fascinating species. She turned to Ethan, gratitude in her eyes. Thank you for sharing your world with me. I've learned so much. Ethan smiled warmly. And we've learned a lot from you, Zenthra. It's a mutual exchange. Zenthra looked around, feeling a part of the human tapestry. Her heart was light, her mind brimming with new insights. The bond she was forming with Earth and its people was growing stronger, one laugh at a time.